In this postseason, Giannis has talked about the difference between ego and pride. He has discussed stubbornness and his personality. He's a guy that clearly has been through more than many 26-year-old professional athletes, probably by growing up overseas. You think about Kobe Bryant as a guy that grew up largely overseas and how different he was from your traditional American teenage basketball phenom, speaking multiple languages, clearly having a pretty different grasp on basketball and who he wanted to be and what work meant and what celebrity meant. Not to say that he was without flaws, obviously, but Kobe ended up being one of our most layered superstars ever. He had a lot to him. And I think travel creates that. I think people that are isolated and don't move out of their comfort zone or their bubble end up growing up in that bubble and developing in that bubble and being stymied because of the bubble. You know, people that do end up traveling, getting to see new things, having different experiences, interacting with different cultures and seeing other parts of the world, I think are far better suited for personal growth because it makes you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. It's so easy to be comfortable all of the time here in the US. It is so easy in modern America to just be comfortable. You can order from Amazon anything that you want, delivered to your door immediately. You can do your banking and everything from your phone. You can watch whatever it is that you want to watch, whenever it is that you want to watch it, on your phone, on your smart TV, on the giant 50-inch TV you bought for $200 at Walmart. You have food delivered to you via DoorDash now. You can go get as much food as you humanly want for a pretty cheap price compared to most of the world. You walk into a grocery store here, it's unlike any grocery store ever in any part of the world, ever. The options that you have, the space that we have, you drive big cars, you have big roads, you have big parking lots. Things are easy. By and large, things are pretty easy for a lot of people. Not saying that financially everybody has it easy, not saying emotionally everybody has it easy, but from a lifestyle standpoint, it's not the way it is in most parts of the world. We got it really good. We got it really freaking good. And if you just grow up here or anywhere and never actually look anywhere else, you end up being really stunted in your growth. Giannis comes from something completely different than us. And it's not just that he came up through poverty. There's plenty of NBA athletes, plenty of professional athletes, plenty of Americans that come through that. It's that he did so in a totally different country than this. Now, let's say that you come up through poverty and you come up through a dire situation where you are trying to help mom keep the lights on by having a job at 14 years old, which is what he did. And let's say now that you find a dream, something you're really, really good at, and suddenly they say, if you want to really chase the dream to do it, you've got to go to a different country where they don't speak your language. And at 18 years old, you now have to do it in a totally different culture, in a totally different language, and navigate having tons of media scrutiny while doing it. I mean, imagine you found something you really loved to do, and then they said, okay, and now go learn how to speak Russian. Now go live in Russia and do it and speak Russian. Oh, and by the way, there's going to be cameras on you, and Russian television and radio is going to cover your every move as you try to do it. And you're 18 and you're away from home. Now go try to accomplish this. Think about how different Giannis's brain works versus your normal American AAU basketball star. Think about how much self-reflection you have to do when you are sitting in a country that you know nothing about, trying to chase your dream, trying to get your family out of poverty, and knowing that you are a complete alien there. You don't speak the language, you don't understand the culture, and you've got to do this as, an entire franchise is weighing on your back. Think about how different your brain would work. And that's why when Giannis had this amazing quote the other day, which I'm going to play for you next hour, where he said, before game 6, I think it was, I think it was after game 5 before game 6. He said, he was asked, how do you remain focused on the goal at hand in chasing the dream of the championship when you've done all these great things before? How do you stay in the moment? He said, well, if I rely on thinking about what I've already accomplished, 2 MVPs, yada, 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 big contract, all of this, well, then I'm looking solely through my ego, what I have accomplished, what I've already done, what makes me feel good about myself. He said, if I focus on what I will accomplish, all of these goals, what I assume I'll get done, well, that's my pride. He said, so I've got to get both of those out of the way and focus on the today. Now, how many 26-year-old multimillionaires on the cusp of a championship can resolve that in their brain, act on that, and understand that? Last night, he was asked about winning it in Milwaukee and how much better it was. And he said, I wanted to do it here. I didn't want to chase a ring with a super team and going to team up with somebody else. He said, and part of that is my stubbornness. Part of this was that Giannis had to be stubborn. And a lot of these great athletes are, because they've been told their entire lives before they became anything that you're not going to make it. The odds are against you. If you came from a poor background, nobody makes it out of this neighborhood. You can't get anything done. You don't have a dad around. You don't have a mom around. You came from this, that, the other thing. There's plenty of ways that you're told you're not going to do it. And so these athletes are wired, the great ones, to be able to dismiss all of that. I mean, up until his Hall of Fame induction, Michael Jordan's talking about the kid that made the JV team over him and he got cut. Remembering when he was told he can't. But Giannis's fuel is, imagine how well you have to know yourself to navigate this in a different country with a different language when you're 18. So I have nothing but respect for his journey, for who he is, for who he's become. And again, I saw this video the other day. I'm not sure when it was from, but there was an autograph signing. And a little girl comes up to Giannis, and she had drawn cartoons of him, pictures of him. And she was probably 10 years old, 9 years old, something like this. And she hands him the pictures, and she is already, of course, kind of taken aback because here is her hero. And she's drawn pictures of her hero. And now her hero's looking at them. And he got up immediately, didn't say anything, got up from behind the table, walked around the table, and just hugged her. And she just started crying. And he just hugged her and said, "These are wonderful. Thank you so much." Giannis isn't the only athlete that appreciates this. I'm not going to say that. Giannis isn't the only guy that's ever hugged a little girl before that gave him pictures. Okay, so but there is such a warmth to Giannis. There is such a next level of humanity to him that I just feel great for him that he accomplished this. And I also feel great for him because he was stuck with these two, in my mind, idiotic labels. Underachiever, because they were the 1 seed the last 2 years and lost, so that they couldn't ever get it done. They were chokers. Giannis was a choker. Bucks were a choker, which to me, it's like, those are 2 years, 2 seasons. One was the freaking bubble. And one, they lost to the Toronto Raptors, the ultimate champions, with Kawhi Leonard. So shame in being the 1 seed and losing the last 2 years that ultimately they could never do it. And to me, that was always so disrespectful. But he was labeled with that and then also labeled with too limited. He's too limited. Can't shoot the three, can't shoot free throws, doesn't have a good enough arsenal. He's just a big athletic freak. And I was like, he's 24. He's 25. Why would we ever put this box on somebody? And we do this all of the time because we are lazy. We are extraordinarily lazy in our takes, in our research, and our thoughts. We are so extraordinarily lazy. Twitter is just a sewer of laziness, of whatever comes to mind first. Let me trash that. Trash it. Sucks. Never going to do it. Awful. Blah, blah, blah. It's like Giannis had so much more of his life to go and was already so much farther than anybody could have ever dreamt of, many, then who's to say he couldn't get to 2 more levels, 3 more levels? That's what growth is. And he did, because last night, lo and behold, magic, the free throws were all raining in. So, yeah, there was another level. And telling him he couldn't do that, can't do that, you're too limited, was so small-minded. And then the Bucks thing. I mean, that's a team that had lost the last 2 years of the ones he granted. But there's been plenty of teams that have lost in the playoffs when they were favored and then ultimately had to learn from it and grow from it. And assuming that that was just it, that was the end, that they could never get past that, again, was just so simple-minded. And so I feel great that Giannis and the Bucks break through those constraints and those small-minded critics, and a reminder that life is about evolving and about growth and about becoming better, and that you're never a final product, especially after 2 times doing something or in your mid-20s. It's not over. You have a chance every day to be better, to be a better version of yourself every day. Some people take that, other people don't. But Giannis did. And you think Giannis is a finished product now? No, because Giannis isn't wired that way for all the reasons I just laid out. He's not wired to just sit there and be like, I made it. That's it.